As world leaders gather in Glasgow, they know time is running out to save the Earth from the worst effects of climate change. Delayed by a year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, COP26 aims to keep alive a target of capping global warming at 1.5 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels. That's a limit scientists say would avoid its most destructive consequences. Delegates like Togo's president are all too aware of the dangers of inaction. His nation is listed as among the most vulnerable in the world. Zimbabwe too. Drought and changing rainfall patterns have wreaked havoc on his country's economy. And Tanzania, struggling to cope with floods and long dry spells caused by climate change. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson opened the conference and likened the ever-warming Earth to that of fictional secret agent James Bond.
Welcome to COP. Welcome to Glasgow. And to Scotland, whose most globally famous fictional son is almost certainly a man called James Bond, who generally comes to the climax of his highly lucrative films strapped to a doomsday device, desperately trying to work out which coloured wire to pull to turn it off, while a red digital clock ticks down remorselessly to a detonation that will end human life as we know it. And we are in roughly the same position, my fellow global leaders, as James Bond today. Except that the tragedy is, this is not a movie. And the doomsday device is real.
The return of the United States, the world's biggest economy, to UN climate talks is a boon to the conference after a 4-year absence under President Donald Trump.
To state the obvious, we meet with the eyes of history upon us and the profound questions before us. It's simple. Will we act? Will we do what is necessary? Will we seize the enormous opportunity before us, or will we condemn future generations to suffer? This is the decade that will determine the answer, this decade. The science is clear. We only have a brief window left before us to raise our ambitions and to meet the task that's rapidly narrowing.
Meeting the 1.5 goal agreed in Paris in 2015 will require a surge in political momentum and diplomatic heavy lifting in Glasgow. That's to make up for the insufficient action and empty pledges that have characterised much of global climate politics so far. African voices were among those sounding the alarm and calling for action.
I need to tell you what is happening in my home country. Right now, as we sit comfortably here in this conference center in Glasgow, over 2 million of my fellow Kenyans are facing climate-related starvation. In this past year, both of our rainy seasons have failed, and scientists say that it may be another 12 months before the waters return again. Meanwhile, our rivers are running dry.
To be a success, the Glasgow conference needs also to lock in billions in climate finance and finish the rules to implement the Paris Agreement with the unanimous consent of the nearly 200 countries that signed it, and that's a big ask.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my plea today is for countries to come together to create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the action required. We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector. With trillions at its disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders, it offers the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition.
The key question is whether leaders' words will translate into concrete actions on making stringent cuts in planetary warming gases. Never has it seemed more urgent.
And it's time to say enough. Enough of brutalizing biodiversity. Enough of killing ourselves with carbon. Enough of treating nature like a toilet. Enough of burning and drilling and mining our way deeper. We are digging our own graves.
And yet the politics and economics of every participating country at the Glasgow conference are so diverse, so conflicting, no one can be 100% sure the world will unite in the plan to save the planet. John Cookson, Arise News.